In exactly 60 minutes, your life will be one of two things. The same as it was, full of excuses, full of maybe tomorrows. Or you will possess the psychological weapons used by the top 1% of humans to dominate this planet. Most of you are living as if you have a backup life in your pocket. You don't. You are being squeezed by a clock that never resets. Today, I'm not here to give you motivation. Motivation is for children. I'm here to give you architecture. I'm going to tell you why the war horse doesn't dance at weddings, why your kindness can be your greatest weakness, and how to become the whole world for your family while the rest of the world doesn't even know your name. If you think this is just another YouTube speech, turn it off now. This isn't for the crowd. This is for the man tired of bowing while being attacked. This is for the person ready to squeeze every drop of juice from their time. I've hidden 3 real-life stories in this video, stories never shared before, stories that will change the way you look at your father, your job, and your own mirror. Watch until the final second, because the last 5 minutes contain a decision that will define your next 10 years. The clock is already ticking. Are you a lion or just a spectator? Let's begin.
There's an old wisdom most people forget in their hunger for fame. Live among people the way your tongue lives between your teeth. Your tongue is soft, fragile, and surrounded by sharp teeth every moment, yet it survives because it knows its place and timing. It speaks when needed and rests when silence is safer. This is how you must move through life. Be gentle, but not careless. Be kind, but not exposed. Position yourself so wisely that the teeth of society, critics, manipulators, and exploiters cannot wound you.
Many of you believe that being good means being weak. So you bow down to everyone. You lower your head, hoping respect will fall from the sky. But hear this carefully. Never, ever let anyone attack you while you are bowing. Humility is a virtue, but surrendering your self-respect, that is a sin. If you bow so low that people can step on your back, you are not being humble. You are becoming a floor mat. True communication is not just about the words you speak. It is about the boundaries you quietly set. When you speak, speak with the weight of a king, not loud, not desperate, heavy. And when you listen, listen with the stillness of a monk. Because people are not impressed by those who talk the most. They are mesmerized by those who cannot be shaken. The man who was a world. Why must you protect your energy? Because of one simple truth. To the world, you are just one person, but to your family, you are the whole world. Let me tell you a story, not from history books of kings, but from real life. There was a man, a simple laborer. He worked 14 hours a day in the heat. To his boss, he was just employee number 402. If he fell today, he would be replaced tomorrow. To strangers on the street, he barely existed. But every evening, when he walked through his front door, everything changed. His children didn't see a laborer, they saw a hero. His wife didn't see a tired man, she saw a provider. To that small house, he wasn't ordinary. He was the sun that gave warmth, the moon that gave comfort, and the oxygen that gave life. This is why you must be careful. When you neglect your health, when you let people break your spirit, or when you risk your life for people who don't even know your name, you are gambling with the world of your family. You are the CEO of your home. You are the strength of your parents. You are the future your children depend on. Stop seeking validation from a world that will not notice if you disappear. Start building the man who is worthy of the family that already believes he is everything. Carrying your value into the world. Now that you understand your value to your family, we must talk about how you carry that value into the world. How do you talk to people? How do you leave an impression on a stranger in just 60 seconds? Most people believe communication is about using smart words. It is not. Communication is about energy. You can say very little, but if your energy is weak, no one will remember you. And you can say very little, but if your presence is strong, people will feel you long after you leave. If you want to impress someone, stop trying to fit in. The moment you try to fit in, you become invisible. Fitting in is silent begging for approval, and confidence never asks for permission. The most magnetic people in the world are comfortable in their own skin. They do not rush their words. They do not explain themselves unnecessarily. They enter a room calmly. They stand with ease. They speak when needed and stay silent when silence has more weight. They do not act like guests in life. They walk into a room as if they belong there, as if they own the air they breathe. That energy cannot be faked. It can only be built. How the world learns who you are. Remember this clearly. The world treats you the way you teach it to treat you. You teach people every day, not with words, but with posture, with eye contact, with presence. If you walk with your shoulders slumped, eyes glued to the ground, voice unsure, the world learns one thing: this person can be ignored. But if you walk with a straight spine, steady breath, and you look people in the eye, the world learns something different. This person must be respected. Leadership is not announced, it is felt. You don't need louder words, you need stronger alignment between your body, your mind, and your intent. Stand like you belong, move like you have purpose, speak like your time matters. Because the moment you take yourself seriously, the world has no choice but to follow. To be truly influential, you must understand the power of the pause. When someone asks you a question, do not rush to answer like a servant. Wait. Breathe. Look at them. Then speak. That small silence, just 3 seconds, tells the other person everything. It says, I am in control of my mind. You cannot rush me. Most people fear silence. Strong people use it. That pause settles the room. It shifts the balance. And many times, you win the conversation before it even begins. You might say, but I have too many problems. How can I be confident? Let me tell you a story about a man named Viktor Frankl. He wasn't a billionaire. He wasn't a movie star. He was a prisoner in the most horrific camps of World War II. He had lost everything: his clothes, his dignity, his family, even his name. He was just a number. The guards tried to break him every single day. They beat him. They starved him. But Frankl noticed something. The guards could take away his food. They could take away his clothes. But there was one thing they could never touch: the space between a stimulus and his response. One day, he stood naked before the guards, and in his mind, he felt pity for them. He realized something profound. Even in a cage, he was freer than the men holding the guns, because he chose his attitude. He did not let their hate change his heart. He survived not because he was the strongest. He survived because he refused to let the outside world dictate his inside world. He had a why. He wanted to see his wife again. He wanted to write his book. Your boss might yell at you. Your friends might mock you. The economy might fail you. But they can only attack you if you give them the keys to your mind. Take back the keys. You are the architect of your own respect.
Let's get honest for a moment. There are days when the motivation isn't there. There are days when you look in the mirror and you don't see a world for your family. You see a failure. You see the mistakes of last year, the chances you missed, the words you wish you could take back. And then you hear the voices, the people who said, "You've changed," or "You'll never make it." Most people try to ignore these voices. They pretend they don't hear them. They try to hide from the pain. But I'm telling you to do the opposite. Invite the pain in. Sit with it. Feel it. And then use it. Turning no into your empire. If someone tells you no, don't get angry. Use that no as the brick you build your empire with. If someone mocks your dreams, don't argue with them. Argue with your results. The greatest revenge is not a loud comeback. The greatest revenge is a massive, undeniable success. A success that forces your enemies to ask you for a job. Remember what we said about the carver. Sometimes life doesn't give you a chisel. Sometimes it gives you a sledgehammer. It feels like you're being broken, but you are actually being shaped. The man who was too short for greatness. In the 1950s, there was a young man in the Caribbean who loved cricket. He had a dream to be the best. But the so-called experts looked at him and laughed. They said, "You are too short. Your technique is wrong. You don't have the grace of a champion." That man was Sir Vivian Richards. He didn't go home and cry. He didn't try to impress them with words. He decided if he didn't have the height of a giant, he would have the heart of a lion. He walked onto the field with a swagger that made the bowlers feel small. He refused to wear a helmet, even when the fastest bowlers in the world were aiming for his head at 90 miles per hour. Why? Because he knew communication is 90% psychological. By not wearing a helmet, he was telling the world, "You cannot hurt me. I own this ground." He turned his physical disadvantage into a psychological weapon. He didn't just play the game, he dominated the minds of his opponents. He became one of the greatest to ever live, not by following the rules of others,
but by making his own. He lived like his tongue was between his teeth. He didn't talk about his greatness, he showed it, until the world had no choice but to bow. Listen closely, because every word I say is costing you something you can never buy back. Time. Most people wait. They wait for the right time, the perfect mood, the lucky break. But here is the cold, hard truth. In this life, if you do not make the decision is made for you. If you don't decide what your career will be, the economy will decide for you. If you don't decide how your day will go, your distractions will decide for you. Life has no pause button. It only has forward. You are either the pilot of your journey, or you are luggage being carried by the wind. You cry because you didn't get the job. You call it a failure. Look again. Maybe life didn't deny you a paycheck. Maybe it gave you a chance to sign the paychecks. Maybe the no you received from an employer was the universe telling you you were never meant to be a servant. But listen carefully now. That only becomes true if you decide to be the boss. Otherwise, you're not unlucky. You're not misunderstood. You're just unemployed and making excuses. Look at the clock. That second that just passed, it's gone. More dead than the ancient pharaohs. If you could bring back even 1 second of yesterday, then go ahead, waste as much time as you want. Sleep until noon, scroll through videos of people living the life you say you want. But if you understand this, time is the only currency that only spends and never earns. Then something changes. You stop wasting time. You start squeezing every drop out of it. Think of time like a piece of fruit. If you are strong, you squeeze it. You drink the juice. You taste the sweetness of success. But if you are weak, if you are not worthy of squeezing time, then time will squeeze you. It will press you year after year until you are old, tired, and full of regret, wondering where the years went. Time is a beautiful friend, but a merciless enemy. Let me tell you about a man who understood the value of a single second. He was an immigrant living in a tiny apartment with nothing but a dream. No money, no connections, no job. Every morning, he woke up at 4 a.m. Why? Because he understood something most people never do. While his competitors were sleeping, he was gaining a 4-hour lead every single day. He didn't have a desk, so he used a cardboard box. He didn't have a car, so he ran to his meetings to save the bus fare. People told him, "Relax, take it easy, you have time." He looked at them and said, "I don't have time. I am competing with my own death." He didn't wait for a boss to pick him. He picked himself. Today, his name is written on buildings, not because he was lucky, but because he treated every hour like a battle he had to win. He knew the world does not give you what you deserve. It gives you what you demand through your actions. Do you want to know how to impress people? Stop being so available. The man who is always ready for a phone call, always free to hang out, always active on social media, has zero value. Why? Because his time is cheap. When you start valuing your seconds, the world starts valuing your minutes. When you tell someone, "I only have 5 minutes to talk," and you actually leave after 5 minutes, you have just communicated more power than a 1-hour speech ever could. You didn't explain, you didn't argue, you showed them. You showed them that your life is moving forward, with or without them. That is how you become magnetic. People don't follow words. They follow movement. They want to follow the man who is going somewhere, not the man standing still, waiting for a miracle. They say the wealthiest place on this planet is not the oil fields of the Middle East. It is not the gold mines of Africa. The wealthiest place on earth is the grave, because in the grave you will find books that were never written, businesses that were never started, songs that were never sung, dreams that were never chased. Why? Because those people were waiting for a permission slip from the world. They were too afraid to bite because they were worried about what the teeth would think. Don't you understand this? The people you are trying to impress are just as scared as you are. The people you are bowing to are fighting their own shadows, while you are busy trying to look good for them. Life is slipping through your fingers like dry sand. If you are not living your own dream, you are working for someone else's. If you are not building your own wall, you are just a brick in someone else's house. Is that why you were born? To be a brick? Let me tell you about a man whose name was rarely in the headlines, but whose spirit should be in your blood. He was told he He was too old to start over. He had lost his fortune, his reputation, and even his health. Most people would sit in a corner and wait for the end. But he didn't. He did something radical. He sold everything he had left, which wasn't much, and he bought a small piece of land that everyone said was dead. No water, no grass, just dust. His neighbors laughed. They said, "The sun will kill you before the seeds grow." He didn't argue. Remember, live like your tongue is between your teeth. He worked in silence. He dug for water when his hands were bleeding. He carried stones when his back was screaming. 2 years later, that dead land was the most fertile farm in the valley. When the same neighbors came and asked, "How did you do it?" he didn't give them a lecture. He simply looked at them and said, "The sun was the same for you as it was for me. The only difference is I didn't spend my day talking about the heat. I spent it digging." And this brings us back to how you talk to the world. If you want to be a leader, stop announcing your plans. An announced plan is a weakened plan. When you tell everyone what you are going to do, your brain gets a fake reward. It feels like you've already won, and so you get lazy. The most dangerous man is the one who disappears for 6 months and returns with a masterpiece. The man who doesn't say he's working out, but shows you with his body. The man who doesn't say he's making money, but shows you with his freedom. If you want to impress the person across from you, don't tell them your CV. Show them your character. Show them that you respect your time so deeply that you don't have a single second to waste on gossip, on noise, on small talk. Be the man who is so busy building his world for his family that he doesn't even notice the hands trying to pull him down. So, here is your choice. You can turn off this video and go back to being one person in a world that doesn't care. Or you can stand up, straighten your spine, and decide to be the whole world for the people who love you. Squeeze the time. Bite before you are bitten. And for heaven's sake, stop bowing when you should be conquering. The clock is ticking. What is your decision? They say good times tell the world who you are, but bad times tell you what the world truly is. When your pockets are full, the world is full of friends. Everyone calls you brother. Everyone claims they are a fan. But the moment the lights go out, look around. The people who remain, standing with you in the dark, those are the only ones who deserve to see your light. There is a reason horses that have been to war do not dance at weddings. Once you have seen life's battlefield, once you have felt betrayal, once you have tasted real struggle, you lose interest in fake smiles and borrowed celebrations. You stop caring about small talk. you stop caring about fitting in, because fire changes you, and fire does not mix with glitter. Stop trying to be popular among the rebellious and the lazy. Lions who must hunt do not live among sheep. If your vision keeps you awake at night, you cannot spend your days with people who only want to sleep. If you are a hunter, your circle must be hunters. Because if you stay with the wrong people, they won't just slow you down, they will talk you out of your hunger. The story, The Commander Who Burned the Ships. In the year 711, a man named Tariq bin Ziyad stood on the shores of a foreign land. He had a small army. In front of him, an enemy 10 times larger. Behind him, pause, the ocean. His men were afraid. They looked at the waves, thinking about home, thinking about comfort, thinking about escape. Pause. And Tariq bin Ziyad did something that changed history forever. He didn't give a soft speech. He didn't say, "Try your best." He didn't promise safety. He gave one order. Slow, firm. Burn the ships. Pause. Let it breathe. As the flames rose into the sky, as smoke swallowed the horizon, he looked at his men and said, lower voice, "The enemy is in front of you, and the sea is behind you. There is no going back." Pause. And something happened in their minds. When retreat disappears, fear loses its power. When escape is gone, focus is born. Those who must create their own destiny do not walk backwards. When you burn the option of return, your mind enters a new dimension. You stop being a person. Pause. And you become a force. You stop looking at old habits. You stop missing old friends. You stop replaying old failures. You only look forward, because forward is where the life you promised your family exists. Silence. Why do you keep going when it hurts? Because the real pleasure of winning comes when everyone else is waiting for you to fail. There is a special kind of silence that fills the room when the person they laughed at finally climbs the podium. No cheering, no clapping, just shock. That silence is more beautiful than any applause. When the world is watching you, waiting for you to trip, holding their "I told you so" speeches, that is the moment you must find your second wind. Don't impress them with your words. Words fade. Impress them with your endurance. The person who survives the longest in the bad times is the person who eventually decides what the good times look like. If you are in a dark room right now, don't search for the door. Become the light. And if they attack you while you are bowing, stand up. Not to strike back, but to remind them you are a mountain, and mountains do not move because of the wind. Why do you keep going when it hurts? Because the real joy of winning comes only when everyone else is waiting for you to fail. There is a very specific kind of silence that fills the room when the person everyone laughed at finally climbs the podium. That silence is more beautiful than any applause. When the world is waiting for you to trip, when they have their "I told you so" speeches ready, that is exactly when you must find your second wind. Don't impress them with words. Words fade. Actions last. Impress them with your endurance. The person who can survive and remain standing in the bad times longer than anyone else is the one who eventually decides what the good times look like. If you are in a dark room right now, don't look for the door. Become the light. And if someone attacks you while you are bowing, stand up. Not to strike, not to argue, but to show them you are a mountain. And mountains do not move because of the wind. To impress someone, stop looking at them with asking eyes. Do you like me? Do you approve of me? Look at the world with the eyes of the hunter. A hunter does not seek approval. A hunter seeks opportunity. When you speak, speak with the certainty of a man who has already seen the end of the movie. People are drawn to those who know where they are going. If you are making your own path, walk it so boldly that others stop just to watch you pass. Remember this: you are the whole world to your family. Do not let a temporary world of strangers break a permanent pillar of strength. Everyone wants the crown, but nobody wants to feel the weight of it. People see the man at the top and say he's lucky. They see the lion and say he's the king. But they don't see the nights the lion went hungry. They don't see the scars on the war horse's back. You must understand this. Comfort is the grave of the soul. If you are comfortable, you are not growing. If you are not growing, you are dying. Most people never make it because they choose a peaceful life over a purposeful one. But you don't have that luxury because you realized you are the whole world to your family, and a world cannot be weak. A world cannot collapse because it had a bad day. When you feel like giving up, remember who is watching you. Your children, watching to see what a man looks like. Your parents, watching to see if their sacrifices were worth it. Your enemies, watching, hoping you'll trip. Which one of them are you going to satisfy today? There was once a man who wanted to build something everyone said was impossible. He spent years in his basement, ignored, mocked. He lost his health. His hair turned gray. He was down to his last cent. One day, a friend came to him and said, "Why are you doing this? Even if you succeed, you've lost your youth. You've lost your good times. Is it worth it?" The man looked at him and said, "The good times you speak of are just moments where you forget you're going to die. I am building something that will live after I am gone. I am not trading my time for fun. I am trading my time for legacy." That man didn't just build a machine, he changed how the entire world communicates. He understood that the fun of winning only comes when you've survived the impossible part. He didn't walk backwards because his path was forward. He didn't dance at weddings because he was too busy winning the war. How do you impress someone? By being the one who doesn't need to be impressed. Most people walk into a room and their eyes are searching. Who was the most important person here? Who should I talk to? Stop that. When you walk into a room, you are the most important person in your own universe, not out of ego, but out of certainty. When you speak to someone, give them your 100% focus. Don't look at your phone. Don't glance over their shoulder. Make them feel that for those 3 minutes, they are the only other person on the planet. This is the communication of kings. It shows that your time is valuable, and because it is valuable, your attention becomes a gift. When you treat your attention as a gift, the world starts treating your words as law. Stop saying, "I'll start tomorrow." Tomorrow is a lie told by losers. If you don't squeeze this second will squeeze you into a life of what if. If you aren't getting the job, go build the company. If they attack you while you bow, stand up and let them see the lion. If you are lonely on your path, remember, the view at the top is only beautiful because there's no crowd there. You are the war horse. You are the lion. You are the architect. Now, go and act like it. We have talked about the war horse and the lion. We have talked about the tongue and the teeth. But now, the screen will turn black. The music will stop. And you will be left with the most dangerous thing in the world, your own thoughts. When you put your phone down today, the world will try to pull you back into the crowd. The rebellious will call you to join them. The lazy will ask you to dance at their weddings. The job you didn't get will still be a no on a piece of paper. But you are different now. You know that to the world you are one, but to your family you are everything. You know that if you don't make the decision, the clock will make it for you. Don't let this be just another video you watched while eating. Let this be the day the carver started chipping away the stone. Let this be the day you stopped bowing and started building. The journey of 1,000 miles is lonely, but you don't have to walk it without a map. I don't want you to subscribe just to grow a number. I want you to subscribe because you are a lion who refuses to live among the sheep. I want you to join this circle because we are the ones who squeeze the time before the time squeezes us. If you felt the truth in these words, if you are ready to be the whole world for your family, then hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. We are building a circle of people who don't just talk about the sun, we dig for the water. Leave a comment below with one word, decision. Let the world know that today you stopped waiting. Go out there. Keep your tongue between your teeth, your eyes on the horizon, and your heart in the fight. I'll see you in the next episode of your new life.